Good morning. On August 25th, 1976, my wife and I had our first and only son, Papillon, who was born in Los Angeles, California. We soon moved to Glendale, California, and we now had two daughters, Tira and Alexis, and now our son, Papillon. It was one day before Thanksgiving, and it probably was Victor Charles's favorite day of the year, when the turkey was cooking in the oven and mashed potatoes and thick gravy was soon placed on the magnificent dressed table, with olives and sweet pickles in crystal bowls on that glorious day of the year. He most likely didn't see it coming his way that would slightly ruin his day, and it was publicly announced in newspapers reading, "Actor Victor Buono is recovering from a broken shoulder bone suffered when he slipped in the shower, friends say." His shoulder bone, unfortunately, didn't heal as fast as he wanted, and the Old Globe Theater had to cancel their production of the last of the Marx Brothers Writers. My Uncle Victor Charles was now 36 years old, and he would have numerous stage, television, and motion picture productions waiting for him up the road. When he thought over his dismal year of 1975, though, he most likely dropped to his knees, promising and begging, "If there is a God of theater, please redeem me from the abyss of the stench of Gucci and Camelot." My Uncle Victor Charles was performing in the television program Ellery Queen in the episode of Two-Faced Woman on February 29, 1976, starring Lillian McGraw, John Hillerman, Forrest Tucker, and Vera Miles. Then, on May 2, 1976, he spoke bluntly within a newspaper of his experience of performing in Danny Thomas's television program, The Practice, in the episode Jules and the Bum, saying, "I've grown somewhat weary of playing villains, and I enjoy doing comedy for a change. I've been a professional writer in movies and on TV for nearly 15 years. In that time, I've personally murdered about 100 people, and I've been directly or indirectly responsible for the untimely demise of many more. My general history of robbery and tear makes Genghis Khan look like Mary Poppins. I'm absolutely convinced that one's nature determines the type of role he will be permitted to play. If one is unable to see his shoelaces while standing up, he's a bad guy. No doubt that's why villains are called heavies. Every villain wants to do comedy. Fortunately, I'm physically and as well endowed for one as the other. People always laugh when I walk in. So I murder people 6 months out of the year, then spend 6 months trying to make people laugh. I'm not a villain or a comedian. I'm an actor. I like to play humans, and humans are a composite of both comedy and tragedy. The roles I have the most fun with are a mixture of both elements. He just couldn't shake loose from playing bad guys in television and motion pictures, and it is true he was typecast due to his weight. If finances were never a problem in his life, I strongly believe he would have remained acting only on the stage. His old friend, Jonathan McMurtry, met him at the Oak Globe Theater in San Diego, California in the early 1960s, and McMurtry remained acting there for over 50 years in approximately 200 productions. Victor Charles made more money than McMurtry between the years of 1961 to 1981, but as for personal accomplishments and peace of mind, it's McMurtry who wins the bout. This was the price Victor Charles had to pay to make a living as an actor in Hollywood. He knew what he was doing, but he couldn't do it in the way he hoped, because the Hollywood mill only wants actors that want fortune and fame, and often many lose their souls in the bargain. On May 8, 1976, Victor Charles was performing in the television program Brenda Starr in the episode Kiss Me, Kill Me, starring Jill St. John and Stella Stevens. 7 days later, on May 15, 1976, he was performing in the 90-minute television program High Risk, and he had a few thoughts to say. If you put a paisley shawl over the Matterhorn, it's going to look like a paisley shawl over the Matterhorn. Of course, I don't mind talking about my weight. I can't very well hide it. I have physical examinations at regular intervals, and my doctors go away mumbling to themselves at how healthy I am. I can think thin, and I can act thin. I suppose I've something in common with Al Hurt, Francis Sullivan, and Sebastian Cabot. Subby is a good friend of mine, and quite often I'm asked for autographs from people who think I'm him. I tell them there are about 2 feet and 100 pounds difference. Why should it be? There are fat everything, good guys, bad guys, cowboys and Indians. I do all the talk shows. I have an open-end invitation on the Tonight Show. I like to keep my face before the public. It's like having a publicity man without paying for one. Victor Charles was performing in the television program Eyeless on October 27, 1976. He soon was performing in the television program The Tony Randall Show in the episode Case, the Ego Affair on November 11, 1976. In a newspaper on November 23, 1976, it was announced that he was cast in the stage production of The Guardsman. Looking back on 1976, there wasn't any spectacular productions of notice for Victor Charles, but he was a working actor in Hollywood, playing his roles the way the directors wanted. He was now 37 years old, and I can only imagine what he must have been thinking about in his future, in the night, all alone.